Welcome to Woodman Live. My name is Kleika, and I am, you guessed it, from the Iron Pulse outfit, VS outfit on the Woodman server. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about, what's happening on Woodman and in the game, Planetside 2. And to talk about that, I got myself not one, not two, not three, no, this time actually 4 guests, because they don't just show up last to the party, they also bring extra friends. It's the Terran Republic. I got myself 2CA DJStacy and 2CA Sysagent. And, of course, not underrepresented, the NC, I've got myself FFS Dextro to talk about the blue and yellow boys. And, of course, for my home guys, the guys in spandex, I've got VVG RCutter. So, we're going to go with a quick introduction for all 4 of them. Let's start out with 2CA, because their outfit starts with a 2. DJStacy and Sysagent, you, both of you at the same time, have 10 seconds to talk about yourself and your outfit. Go!
2CA, small outfit, not a major platoon, but one of the highest ranking outfits on the Woodman server. Quick response, always adaptable, and always in the heat of the battle.
That was very, very good. You guys are so adaptable, you can make it work in 10 seconds. Next up, the NC, FFS Dextro. Your 10 seconds for your outfit and yourself, now.
Hello guys, I'm Dextro from the 151st for fuck's sakes. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, thank you. These guys don't fuck around, do they? And of course, 10 seconds for the boy wearing spandex. VVG RCutter, your 10 seconds, go.
Hello, my name is RCutter and I am an officer of the VVG Vanguard. We are well known among the BS for having girls and being cookies.
Alrighty, so DJStacy has not introduced himself because a quick thing, so our listeners know he's actually got a cute little girl, which I hope is his own daughter, in his house right now, so he's taking care of her. He will be joining us later. For now, Sysagent is going to take over the representative part for 2CA. Now, guys, we've got the introductions down. Everyone knows what they're listening to now. I think we can get to the grit of it. Let's start with favorite topic on the forums, everywhere on the internet, and also in last week's show, the overpopulation of Woodmen, or more specifically, the overpopulation of the Vanu. 2CA, what is your general stance on the overpopulation? Is there even an overpopulation? Are people just exaggerating, or is it the truth?
There's an element of truth into it, but it's like any faction, it gets nerfed or buffed, and it becomes the flavour of the month. No doubt our Vanu friends, in quotation marks, will get their relevant nerfs, and then they'll become unpopular, and it'll be either us who's ranking high in the pops or the NC again. It's just waves and waves of uncertainty, really, on the server, where we're going to be from, you know, each month, each GU update, etc., etc. It's not a big deal. I think the biggest concern with population is with the alert system currently, because it tends to fluctuate, does the population for the Vanu, pertaining to what the actual alert is at the time. You can notice that the Vanu pop can significantly increase to the latter stages of an alert, for example, to 40-odd%. Whereas us lowly TR are around about 20-odd and the NC are about 30-odd.
So the NC is about 30-odd, so you guys are pretty much in the middle, Dextro. I've asked this to my guests last week, but I'm going to ask you again. The NC was so used to being the most populated faction on the server. How are you guys coping with the current situation?
I think there's no problem with the current situation. I mean, it will always be the case that the population is kind of bouncing between the factions. I mean, we didn't really notice when we have the highest population because we try to avoid the blues anyway. So for us, it doesn't really matter. It's just play smarter and make the sizes of forces neglectable. It's up to you as an outfit.
So you haven't actually noticed anything in the NC that you guys lost players or anything, or that the others gained players? You're playing the same game you always have.
We always gain players, so for us it's not really a significant problem. I mean, of course, it's a bit annoying that the TR kind of gave up come fighting with the Vanu, and we are the only ones left, and the TR and the Vanu bashing on us. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. We're getting fights, and that's what the game is about.
Okay. Cutter, obviously, the man who has all the other Vanu around him and is doing fights, do you actually enjoy having the overpop, or does it actually kind of negate what you play the game for?
No, we definitely don't enjoy it, at least we the VVG, because the challenge is lost right now. It's really easy to win alerts, and we definitely don't like it easy. We want it hard. And the fact that the overpop has discouraged TR from participating in them is really bad. So I think it's hurting the game, and I would be happy for the overpop to be gone. I'm putting high hopes on G11 and the changes that are coming with it.
So VVG is actually not in favor of having all those players on the VS side?
Yeah, not really in favor, no.
Okay. So now we of course have to ask those players, where do they come from? I mean, obviously it's not like every single player that's currently, that's either left the TR or joined the VS is some kind of super all-star player that is at the top of the skill ceiling. Mostly what I read and what I also notice by myself when I play is that a lot of them are new players because Woodman was recommended. Is it really just the numbers? Or have you noticed that there's actually also been an influx of more skilled players? Because a lot of the times I hear from people, there's this giant Zerg of non-outfit people, and they're all going to stop playing soon. But have your outfits actually gotten an influx of new members that are actually, let's call it viable players? 2CA, have you guys noticed anything?
Well, we don't really recruit new players per se. We recruit people with a minimum of a BR of about 35 at the moment. But I must say that in the past couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, I've been shot continuously by very low-ranking BR Vanu players. More so than NC, to be honest. It seems that something has made the new players go to the Vanu faction. Maybe there was some rumour about a YouTube video or something that caused all this to occur. I don't know. So one of the other people might know about this. And that's what's making people choose Vanu more so than any other faction.
So 2CA is a bit more exclusive when it comes to their recruiting. How does FFS handle that? Have you guys actually got a proper influx of new players, or are you actually just looking at it with a bit more disdain and you don't even want those people?
Yeah, I mean, the Freedom Fighters always recruit people, and even in bad times for a faction, we still have massive amounts of recruits. I think for us, it really doesn't matter. We are often the outfit where people leave other outfits for and join us, apparently. There are a lot of times at least squads members come to us. And yeah, I mean, I think we are more the hardcore guys, and we never have a problem. I think we are attractive anywhere. Every time to pull enough people, and low battle ranks doesn't really matter because we train them, and then everything's fine.
Well, luckily we are on a radio, so we can't actually answer whether you're attractive or not, but let's go right on to the Vanu. How has VVG been using the abundance of new Vanu players, or maybe even returning Vanu players, who knows? Have you guys seen an increase in recruitment? Are you even recruiting?
Yeah, we're always recruiting. Yes, there has been an influx of new recruits, more than usual. Otherwise, we see a lot of non-outfit players running around. I think we see some outfits that we don't even know, like they've been present for some time, but they aren't really active in the community. The Pyong. They get growing by low BR players I presume they are spam recruiting at the Wargate. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to judge them anyway. Yeah, we're definitely getting a lot.
Okay, so the new player base, people are getting recruits for their smaller, more, say it's tactically oriented outfits. But here comes the big question, one of the biggest topics that's going around, and that's also on my mind, which I actually ran an experiment about, which I'm going to tell you guys in a little bit about. But for now, here comes the topic of the Zergfit, a name that has usually a lot of negativity surrounding it, although, it's kind of like The Zergfit is supposed to be an outfit that goes for quantity. I'm not saying quantity over quality, because that would be very, very mean to some Zergfits out there, but they go for more of a quantity approach. They try to get many members in, and usually the Zergfits can be divided into two different ones. You have the Zergfit that literally just puts down a waypoint and hopes that as many people as possible get to the point alive. And on the other hand, you have a Zergfit that actually has enough core players that are dedicated to the game to train up those newbies and turn them into actual normal outfit players. In my mind, having such a Zergfit as the latter one is a very important thing for a faction, because it allows you to have a high amount of player retention. Because if you join an outfit and you're being treated well and so on, you're more likely to come back to the game. And it, of course, also builds up a large group of people who are just plain better at the game. On the VS side, it is often said that this Zergfit is supposed to be KOTV. I had a representative of them last week. Now, on the NC side, we have a Zergfit that, in my honest opinion, is more in the first category, the gods. On the TR side, as far as I know, there is no Zergfit. Or is there? Should there even be 2CA? What do you think?
Well, I have to come clean here. The other week, we actually did an experiment ourselves. Actually, I think some Vanu players actually commented on it, or some NC. We actually created two dummy run Zerg outfits. One was known as Zerg. I'm not sure if some of you guys might have seen them. And the frightening thing is that we started the Zergfit probably after dinner, and within 2 hours we had something like 48 outfit members on each Zergfit. A mixed ranking from low BR to medium BR, no high ranking BRs, but at that point, them two outfits were quite formidable. They were following the orders, roughly. You had the odd people straying around, but it was incredible how quick a Zergfit could get together and become quite capable of dealing with matters on the battlefield.
So would you say that after trying this experiment, as far as I'm aware, there is no actual Zergfit on the TR side, is that correct?
There used to be the core. Everybody knows about the core, but they kind of disbanded when Twisted left them. And they were only known for really using galaxies and doing mass drops, and they never went into biolabs that were against the religion, rather like the Vanu, until recently, until they got the new improved maxes. But no, there's no real massive Zerg outfits on the TR, but that's probably down yet again to the population. We just don't have the bodies.
But if you say that you ran two different outfits and between both of them you got something like 90 players, do you really think there is no population to build a Zergfit from?
Well, I've heard a number bandied around for KOTV. I might be completely wrong, that there's well over 1,000 players in that outfit. I don't know if that's factual or not. Do you?
2,500. 2,500.
Yeah, well...
Well, to be fair, active players is always a different thing, but yeah, it's somewhere around this region is what is being tossed around.
Yeah, so
And gods are free to have.
Yeah, well, 80 players against thousands of players is like, there's absolutely no comparison. Perhaps that Zergfit would build up to hundreds of players, but I wouldn't like to manage it, that's for sure.
But you would say that having a Zergfit on the TR side would be a step in the right direction?
My personal opinion is I hate Zergfits. I avoid them deliberately when I'm leading 2CA on the battlefield. I'll avoid them like the plague and go the opposite way. But there is a need for them at the moment due to the population imbalance, and it would help things out if we could move the TR in force as Zergfits to overcome KOTV and IP yourselves, etc., and FFS, gods, etc., the larger, big, massive, multi-platoon outfits. We just don't have that capability at the moment.
So, Dextro, NC side, everyone knows the gods. According to some of the leaderboards or stat sites, they have even more members, or had even more members at a time than KOTV. How's the NC working with that? Is it a good thing for your faction? Is it a bad thing? Do you not even care?
I mean, first off, in matters of the game, it's always a good thing having outfits because they are making the game what it is. Without outfits, players would drop immediately, getting bored of the game. I think you can't play this game alone. I mean, the gods are good guys and they're trying hard. I mean, it's for the Zergfits, it's always hard to get leaders, get enough leaders, but I mean, you need them in a way, so I don't mind. I mean, we try to not hit the same base as they hit and try to operate along their lines and not being caught in the big Zerg, but I mean, everybody's doing this part and I don't mind. They're good guys.
So you would say the gods are a good thing for the NC. You wouldn't miss them. You would miss them if they went away.
I mean, some of their leaders are pretty good guys, and I mean, you need a Zergfit. You practically need a Zergfit. I mean, every player who's in an outfit is better than a player doing his own thing. So if you now have a Zergfit or other outfits running a massive public platoon and capturing those people into their platoons, it doesn't matter in the end. It's just more people, at least with some degree of organization, are never a bad thing.
And I think, particularly on Indar, with the Lattice system, it's become even more Zerg relevant because of the way that the Lattice guides the players now, and it makes it more Zergy. Would you agree?
Oh, technically, I would say that. I mean, the Lattice kind of, creates its own Zergs, but I do agree personally that a Zergfit definitely is a very valuable strategic asset that you have. I think Cutter, I mean, since you're playing on the side that has, another one of the well-known Zergfits, KOTV, you can probably give us a better insight there. How does VVG treat the Zergfit, and do you utilize the help of the Zergfit? Do you play around it, or what is your stance on it?
Yeah, we coordinate with them all the time. They're always active on the command channel. We are always active there too, so we coordinate them. We sometimes they can call us in somewhere. Sometimes we call them in as reinforcement. I don't think they're a Zergfit in a sense that they're just a large Zerg. They're not. They have different platoons, different squads. Some I think are more advanced, perhaps members only. Some just puppies. So yeah, it's having a functional Zergfit on your side is really, really good. Yes.
So VVG actively works together with them.
Yeah, all the time.
Do you think that one of the main things that has, not just apart from the population, of course we're taking this to the side right now, but one of the main things that works so well for the VS is having this one unified Zergfit that other outfits can coordinate with?
Well, it's an integral part of our outfit structure, and that outfit structure is, I think, the primary reason for why we are so good. We have such a good standing on this server. So yeah, it's definitely important. It's a major factor for us.
I may say it's very effective because even 2CA, we witness. I have to take my hat off to the Vanu. They're a bloody organised squad. We'll be capping bases well into the alert, and the reaction time of Vanu and the amount of sheer numbers they can shift to respond and react so quickly to the changing battlefield. It's incredible. And we're having to adapt constantly to change our tactics to kind of go against this response of these large outfits as well.
That actually brings me to another topic which was very, very interesting too. The Lattice system. Obviously, we right now only have it on one continent. Before it was introduced, people were always saying that the Lattice is going to save the game. Directly after it was introduced, people say the Lattice destroys everything and creates only Zergs. We just now talked about Zergfits, how important it is. Being able to redeploy, being able to quickly shift a lot of people around. How does the Lattice factor into that? Are you guys actually positively surprised by the Lattice, or would you like to go back to the hex system? 2CA, what is your stance on the Lattice system? By the way, I think DJStacy actually
I'll let
came back.
Stacy say something.
I was about to say, DJStacy actually came back. A
He's
quick
back
hello.
in the chair,
Stacy,
yeah.
thank you for joining us. And
Yeah,
if you
good,
want to take
welcome.
that question.
Well, I think the Lattice has improved, definitely improved the backhacking and having to, send small squads just to capture territory, where you're not going to get much XP. It's a bit of a drag on the game. But I think the problem is sometimes with the Lattice, it's not the actual Lattice itself, it is the outfits, because a lot of random players and stuff, they get bogged down in a big fight, they're having a spectacular time, and that's where they'll stay. They won't look at the map and see where they could be doing better elsewhere. But I mean, from a personal point of view, since the Lattice, I've had some really good fights at some bases that in the hex system you'd have never had platoon versus platoon in that hex, because it wasn't viable, whereas the Lattice forces, even after hours, it does concentrate the player base, which can be a good thing.
Would you say that the Lattice, even though it tells you go from this base to this base, is actually still freeform enough that you can easily jump between the lanes?
Well, in all honesty, when you organise, we're not looking at just at the next base. We've already got Sunderers and stuff lined up for the one after that. So as soon as you finish capping, you can already start. And there's also getting a cap on somewhere else in the Lattice just to stop your cap as well. There's also the counter cap, so that they can't then, if you can drop a squad on the cap before, and start the counter on that, then that basically you're defending your position from the enemy's position, so to speak, because they can't cap your base until they re-secure their own point.
But right now we heard that the whole numbers game with the overpop actually massively favors the overpop empire on the Lattice more than on the hex, because obviously you have less places to go around the overpopulated empire.
Yeah, and as far as the Vanu are concerned, because you have the big outfits, and you're on the same TS to tell 2 or 3 platoons where they're going to be going. The TI haven't got that functionality at the moment. We have to use inter-outfit organisation to field that many platoons. So it's a lot more. There's a lot more logistics involved from TR side, which slows our response times. So because everyone's don't want to pull all their troops out of where they are, and it's a bit of a, it's quite difficult for the TR sometimes. But we are.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, but we are working on it, and we have had some good meetings lately where we got a few outfits that are willing to rally into a sort of a alliance, so to speak. So that is helpful, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I have to agree with Stacey on most of what he says. My personal opinion, I don't know if Stacey shares it. We have had big debates and discussions about this. I think it's a bit too train track like, though. I'm more of a freeform player, and when we had the hex system, it was a lot more freeform. Fair enough, you had the backhack syndrome, and that were rather disheartening, that you took maybe an hour to get a base, and then somebody just flies in with a mozzie and gets it. But I just don't like the rigidity of the Lattice system as it is, and some of the connections that they've made. Like, you can't get from Alloys to Ceres without going via the Crown. The battles at Alloys and Ceres are infamous. They're fantastic, and they've just ditched that. It just doesn't make sense.
Dextro, FFS is known for also having a really fast response time, playing tactically, knowing how to play the map and where to bring their forces. Does the Lattice actually favor your outfit, or would you rather go back stay at the Hex as Asamir and Amrajar?
I think the Lattice is we can't change it, we can discuss about it, it will stay, but I think it's a good thing in regards of some less tactical, where outfits disable their brains and following the path, leaving us the room to flank them. It's just, you have to come to the conclusion that ignore the Lattice system sometimes and jump through the lanes. It's way more effective than just follow up the lane. In the end, you have to deal with the game is offering you, and you will find solutions. And if you play smart, it's good. It's producing some really good fights, and it's actually, I think, making it easier for us to track down enemy Zergs or enemy platoons and wipe them.
So the FFS is actually playing towards their strength and is completely going, we don't care about the lanes, we just care about where we want to be at which time, and then we kind of attack what is currently on the lanes attacking us. That's how you guys operate.
Yeah, I mean, play smart. If you follow the lane, for example, creating a big tank circle and you follow the lane, you shouldn't be surprised when you're wiped out half the way through. I mean, the lane system it's making it so predictable where the enemy is, and I think the main problem is that people are thinking too much into the lane system, which makes it really easy to outplay them, because they're just focusing on this stripe on the map and follow them, and that's it. And I mean, we don't mind it. I mean, the ninja capping, back capping thing, it was pretty annoying. I mean, they could have solved the solution by just forcing you to have 6 people constantly on the point to cap a base, and then you had to have 6 people to capture a base, and it would have favored outfit. I think the only down part of the new Lattice system is that it's actually, I think, put in the game, make it easier for casual players. At the same time, not supporting outfits in the way they should. But I mean, we can work with it. That's cool.
Can I ask a question?
Give me a sec. Yep. I would really like to go to our RCutter, our VS representative, real quick. Cutter, the VS obviously most overpopulated by now, but VVG, relatively small but very tactically focused outfit. How are you guys coping with the Lattice system? Do you actually want to keep the hack system? Are you okay with the Lattice system? Is it playing to your strengths?
I'd say we're okay with the changes. I mean, we know they're coming. We know nothing's going to change. They're going to put Lattice instead of hexes. I think we should view this. We should remember that this is all being put in mind with continent locks coming, with the game becoming more like Planetside 1 was. So that is going to change both the tactics and the strategy. Otherwise, right now we're okay with Lattice. Personally, I don't really feel that much difference when I'm an Indo in comparison to how it was with hexes. Yeah, I think Dextro said a very good thing, that those lanes are on the map and you're playing in a 3D environment. You have to think where you're playing, not just by looking blindly at that map. So we're generally fine with it. I don't say, honestly, I don't think it's such a big deal, really.
Sysagent, you wanted to ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, simply on the Lattice, do you think it'll get boring?
Is this just a general question to everyone?
Yeah, just a general question to the other outfit leaders and yourself. Do you think you'll get bored of them same train tracks?
Dextro.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a limitation from your options, but I mean, you kind of were with the hack system in a system as well. So it's not that you were completely free about what you're doing. And said again, get rid of the idea of just following the lane, be creative, play to your strength, and especially for smaller outfits, I think the Lattice system is an extremely good change because it's easier to track down the enemy forces and to flank them, put yourself in an advantage position, and just mow them down. I mean, you just have to play smart, use your brain, and you can really have a good benefit out of the Lattice system, I think.
Cutter, I take it from your earlier statement you agree with what Dextro is saying.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I was never really a big enemy of the Lattice system. Some people in Iron Pulse were really not looking forward to it, but I always thought what like Dexter was always saying, that the lanes are there and you can look at them and they are a connection, but there are no, artificial invisible walls that keep you within them. If I want to go on a mountain completely outside of the lane and snipe enemy tanks, the Lattice system makes that a lot easier because I can look at the map and I can go, there is a huge Zerg over there. The next place they're going to go to is a 95% chance that base, and they will take vehicles. So, you can just set up, as Dexter said, play smart and play for it. I honestly don't think that the Lattice system is going to get boring, because in the end, it's like, how to best put it, there is the system in place, but what's more important is the map. And they did change the map a little bit to accommodate the system. But if you remember the hex, the map was already not that perfectly open. There were always kind of like already natural lanes that you were following. I mean, we all remember in the hexes, there were always big battles at Quartz Ridge and in the excavation side. There were always the big battles, Sysagent said it earlier, at Ceres and TI Alloys and obviously the Crown. There were always the big battles in the canyons to the east where it was like Crimson Bluff and so on. And there are still, with the Lattice, the big battles are right there. What I can see happening is that, as Cutter said, once the Lattice system gets increased to like having continent locks and we have more continents, I can see us actually having a lot more battles in places we before didn't have any because people are actually trying to push the continents.
Fair comment. Maybe I need to learn and adapt.
I don't know.
More.
I don't think there's really anything to learn about the Lattice. It's just you have to see it how you're playing and your playstyle fits into the Lattice. Like whether you follow a lane, whether you sit on a mountain, or whether you galaxy drop on like 50 bases in 10 minutes, your playstyle fits into the Lattice. There's pretty much no playstyle that has been eradicated by it.
I think... Sorry. I think the main thing is, I mean, there was a ladder system behind the map design in the beginning anyway. Yeah. So they just make it more obvious and adapted the map to it. And I think, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, there's still plenty of places on the map you can set up a nice little sunny base and advance from there. Just generally just cause as much mischief in the enemy ranks as you can.
Yep.
Without actually taking a point. You know, sometimes it's nice to spend an afternoon just being a nuisance instead of going for the point. Sometimes we do that just to mix it up a bit.
Those are the days when in IP voice chat all you hear is "Damn you 2CA."
I mean, I remember one evening where we completely ignored the ladder system, saw a big fight VS and TR at the bar lab on Ender, and we just went there to annoy DTR and not allow them to capture the bar lab. So, I mean, you can always do things, whatever you want. Don't let yourself be forced into the ladder system.
Now, talking about don't let yourself be forced, this actually brings me over to our next topic, which doesn't really have anything to do with how the map is built up, because you don't really care about the map because you're up in the air. I'm talking about the air gameplay in Planetside 2. Now, we all know that currently it is pretty hard to get any kind of air gameplay going if the guys on the ground don't want to let you play. You have amazingly accurate burster maxes, which are pretty much by far the strongest anti-air weapons in the game right now, seeing how they're literally snipers. You have the Skyguard, which is very, very underused because it just doesn't have the magazine size, it doesn't put out the damage you need, doesn't have the accuracy, and the burster max is cheaper and easier to hide. And then, of course, you have the whole problem of lock-on rocket launchers, which we're going to go into a specific one in just a little bit. But let's talk about the air game right now. A lot of people are saying that air operations right now are not viable. 2CA, what do you think?
Stacy?
Well, I don't know. I fly. I do quite a lot of flying for the outfit. You can probably see me in Miguel quite a bit, and I do fly. I do fly Mozzie from time to time. I generally go air to air with the Mozzie. I don't really use the rocket pods that much. I prefer just a bit of a dogfight around a few obstacles. But as you say, if there is an area that's got a lot of AA concentration, you basically have to learn. You either fly around that area or you just get destroyed flying through it. I mean, in the Mozzie anyway. I mean, the Liberators. You know, it's different for someone players like us that have got a lot of certs and our vehicles are pretty buffed. You know, we're pretty maxed out on the cert trees that we enjoy using. Then it's different. I mean, to me, I'm quite happily with my gal. I quite happily fly through a few burster maxes. Everything's maxed out, land the other side of the region, and take all the repair points. But yeah, I know what you're saying. With the Skyguard and the burster max, there isn't there isn't any major counter because the infantry, with this Sky God it's not so bad, but infantry wise the maxes just don't render a decent distance in order for you to like observe their position before you're taken out.
Yeah, I'm just purely a gal pilot for the outfit, and I just love it. It reminds me of Planetside 1, where you hit the top ceiling of the skyline, and you're up there with your platoon all stuck in gals alongside you, and you do a drop on the base, and that's it. Off you go, and then you have just one squaddy in with you, just taking care of business on the floor for you. It's fantastic, is the Galaxy. They need to make it able to carry a vehicle as well, like the old days as well.
How does FFS use air? Do you guys actually still use it effectively? Is it effective? What's your stance, Dextro?
Our air is as effective as it's never been before. Basically, related to the fact that we started it not a long time ago, building up a air division. Again, use your brain, be creative, use your coordination as an outfit, and you can work around the fact of the massive AA. For our air division, it's of course to try to, when we hit an area, to try to stay in the area, hold air superiority, but realistically, it's gonna not last long, because then the enemy, of course, or you guys, of course, pull AMX suits, but you can still do coordinated strikes and make the AA neglectable. It is just a matter of coordination and creativity, and our air squad is awesome. I mean, we call them, they come, they destroy what they've been told to, they go away, they lose none of their fighters or their liberators, and then they're going to hit again the next target. So it's all about coordination.
What do you think is the strongest AA that you face? Is it the Burster Max, or is there actually something else?
I mean, AA in this case doesn't really matter, because they fly in, they fly out, they dump their rockets or their bullets on the ground, and everything is fine before the AA has been able to take them out. So I think a lot of Burster Mechs are around lately, but I mean, we probably would favor Lightnings, because they're way easier to take out and to track down than Burster Mech suits, probably. That would be easier for us to just go for the enemy AA, but it isn't really a matter for us anyway, because it's there, but we adapted to it, and we found our ways to deal with it. So,
well, let's hear something from Cutter. VVG is pretty known for their role as an air-based outfit. At least that's what I hear, or that's how I know you guys. So how do you see the current air game, and what is, in your opinion, the strongest anti-air that you face? Do you even face any anti-air, or can you just fly around without impunity?
Well, yeah, I can't say we're an air-based outfit, but we've always had a strong air arm. And no, we've never actually stopped using it. We've just adapted to the game. When they buffed AA, we've stopped using ESFs. We've stopped using low-flying Liberators. We've switched to Liberators at high altitude. And this has been extremely successful. They saved our days several times in pretty tough battles. I believe once we've actually saved you guys at the IP. If you remember, there was a fight at Chimney Rock a couple of months ago when you told
the representative of VVG is largely embellishing what has really happened, but we will let him to speak.
So yeah, we worked around it. At high altitude, the AA doesn't really matter unless it's really masked. But again, it doesn't shoot you down; it just damages you. What shoots you down are other Liberators and DSFs up there. Still, I believe GU11 will be extremely good for the air game, because not many people have worked out what we have worked out. Not many outfits use it. In fact, I think on Woodman no one else uses it except us. So with the nerf to Burster Maxes, yeah, probably the air is gonna see a huge revival. I really hope for that. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go into that. So, for people who don't know yet, there have been, at least right now on the test server, which is always, you need to take it with a grain of salt, because obviously, just because something is on the test server doesn't mean it'll be like that on live, but we're just gonna run with it for now, because we're doing journalism here on the internet. We don't need integrity or anything. Anyway, so, what's actually happening is that the burster maxes are being changed, or have been changed on the test server, that they have a really large cone of fire. I have actually done some tests today with an outfit mate and with Blitzkrieg from Map, who I'm giving a shout out here because he's a good guy and he deserves one. And we actually tried it out. The burster maxes right now on the test server are effective at shooting ESFs up to about 350, 400 meters, and liberators up to about 500 or 600, but then they don't do a huge amount of damage. Now, the Skyguard on the test server has gotten quite a nice buff. It's got a 70 round magazine now. It's got a higher muzzle velocity on its shots. And it can really put the hurt on ESFs up to about 500 meters, and it can reliably hit liberators at about 600, sometimes even 700s, depending how quickly they move or not at all. Now, this obviously changes the air game, because you have some very specific ranges here where AA is going to be effective. The burster max is not a sniper anymore. It can't snipe you like 800, 900 meters away. It's not going to happen anymore. And lock-on rocket launchers, while still there, have about a range of around 500 meters. So even from that, we're safe. So let's say the current air game is pretty much up to a range of 600 meters. Everything past that is going to be pretty safe. Now, are we going to see, with the addition of a cert line into, for example, the afterburner tanks, which Higby has mentioned, which increase maneuverability and speed and everything in general, are we going to see a resurgence of the air-to-air ESF? 2CA, what do you think?
Yeah, I think there's. I mean, we always have mods in the sky just for scouting purposes as well. But I think that if we're with the changes to the burster and the Skyguard, you will have to have, if the liberators are high, they can still bomb you if they're clever enough and they got on good comms and they got a spotter on the ground for their shots. We won't say no more, but then you're going to be out of range, and you're going to need aerial targets to take out air. You're going to need mozzies to get them liberators, just like it should be. You should need fighters to take down bombers.
Let me add something to the question. Not just is the air-to-air mozzie ESF coming back, but is the almighty rocket pod going to become an option instead of a de facto equipment item?
Yeah, well, as far as my understanding, as far as Higby's comments, so far, is that they're going to change the main guns, the front guns of ESFs, so they are specific for their call. So there will be an infantry ground to air setup and an air to air setup, and the air to air weapons are going to be horrendously bad for the ground, and the ground weapons are going to be horrendously bad against the air. So you will have to make a choice whether you're going in there to take out ground targets or you're going in there to help maintain air superiority of the region. You're going to have to make that choice when you spawn your vehicle.
Dextro, you said before that FFS doesn't really care about anti-air. Are you going to run the same air game you're running right now, or do you actually see a difference in how you approach it coming up with the new update?
I mean, since we're always developing and adapting to the situation and play this game really serious, I can't tell you. First of all, I'm not really an air guy, so I'm more the infantry ground person, so I'm probably the wrong person to talk about. I think you have to see it in consideration with the new resources costs as well and other upcoming stuff. I mean, SOE is presenting you the game, and as an outfit, I think it's your responsibility to play with it and find your way. And I mean, of course, there's no really air-to-air combat ATM, I think, and it could be a nice aspect. We're ready for it anyway, so just adding another dimension makes the game more challenging, and
Cutter, Is VVG ready for having an actual air-to-air game going on instead of what you mentioned earlier, the air-to-ground game?
Our shredders are certainly ready.
Like, do you agree with people that there will be dedicated air-to-air roles that will be needed, or do you think that the ground air-to-air can still completely keep the skies clear?
Oh, well, up until mid-April, we actually relied on air-to-air ESFs rather than burst maxes and staggers and whatnot. So we'll probably just return to that. With these changes, I think A-to-A teams would be just a better, more efficient solution than having a lot of skyguards with you. They're more maneuverable. They can capture air superiority instead of just protecting you. They can scout for you. So it's just more efficient. So yeah, hopefully, probably we'll see a switch towards more relying more on ESFs as a air superiority tool rather than on ground aid.
So here's a question just for our TR guys. Here's a question just for our TR guys.
Go on.
The striker. Striker question mark.
Come on.
The striker question mark.
It's
That's
rubbish.
all I'm gonna say.
Seriously, actually, and Stacey will agree, it's pants. The first week of it, we had immense fun with it. The TR loved it. Then it got broke. It got nerfed. It's really, you really have to use the thing to understand what it's about. I'm back down to the bog standard rocket launcher. I hardly use a striker. If you've got a squad of striker users, it's effective. As a grunt on the ground, it's rubbish. You can't dumbfire it. It takes an age to lock, and if it locks, you might get a couple of hits in air. Pilots are totally savvy to it now. They know how to avoid it. They fly low. They go around mountains, trees. You know, you can't lock on to vehicles within 100 feet of you, almost. It's a non-entity. Really, it's just rubbish.
You heard it here first, directly from the mouth of the TR. The striker. No one wants it. No one needs it.
No, seriously. I can understand the other factions getting agitated about it, but you have to use it in a massive quantity, and you're very vulnerable when you've got it because it takes so long to lock on. It's like an eternity. You can go make a cup of tea whilst it's locking on. It's that bad. And when it were broken, it was nigh on useless. No.
Alrighty, so the striker, a non-issue, as you guys have heard. Now, let's go into something that Dextro mentioned earlier. It is the new resource costs that are actually up already on the test server too. We have all kinds of interesting costs going on, like a flash suddenly costing like 130 resources. I think an ESF is something like 250 air resources. It is going to change the game quite a bit because, in my opinion, it's sadly going to heavily favor the overpopulated, or well, not overpopulated, but it's going to heavily favor the faction that already has the most amount of territory, which a lot of the times is the overpopulated faction. And it's going to make having a subscription or a boost a lot more efficient, which, in my honest opinion, is a bit of a cash grab from Sony there, but we'll see. Higby has said that a lot of people haven't noticed that when you're fighting in an area, for everything you do, you also get resources instead of just experience for kills and so on. Is that going to help, or is the resource system massively going to change the game to CA?
I can understand the change for the flash cost. They've based that purely on the Fury-equipped Wraith flash. They've looked at that and seen it's a stealth killing machine, and they've based that decision on the costing for that, solely on that. I think it's daft at the cost it's going to be because people just use it as a taxi. They just jump in it, spawn, and go to the next place. Is it going to change the game massively? Yeah, as you mentioned, the underpopulated, the lack of territory. Factions are going to suffer immensely from it. The non-subscribers, yet again, are going to suffer immensely. The cynic in me says that Sony, in conjunction with GU11, are going to release an Uber resource boost or an implant that will boost your boost for your resource. It's now I think the real master plan of Sony is now coming to the fore, where they're now going to try and get their money back via these methods. I don't know. The Galaxy's not changed. That's good enough for me. But things like the Flash, the Harasser, I think a nice compromise would be to increase perhaps the resource ceiling, make it to 800, so you could spawn 2 vehicles and then that's it. I don't know. Suck it and see, I think.
FFS Dextro, do you think that it's going to change the way your outfit is going to operate? Are you maybe going to see more stuff where one person is going to pull a vehicle with his resources for someone else because that guy is out of resources, stuff like that? Is it going to change the way FFS operates? Is it maybe going to stop you from being able to quickly respond to threads because people are just out of resources?
I mean, first of all, the Galaxy costs aren't changing, and since we're Galaxy junkies, to quote Reddit, it doesn't really affect us. At least for the Galaxies. On the other hand, with the other things with the guys from 2CA set, I totally disagree. I mean, the game doesn't really change. I think the problem currently is that there's a lot of vehicle spamming. You see tanks without a secondary gunner. That's the thing you shouldn't see in this game. So making overall every vehicle more let it cost more doesn't change the game or doesn't favor the overpopulated one, because it's just for everybody that changes. So it just makes vehicles more worth than they're actually right now. Now I think a lot of people just don't care if they lose their vehicle because they got enough resources to just constantly swap between, for example, Mech Rider Lightning, and they're just spamming their vehicles. And for us, it doesn't matter because we want to use the tools we got in the game as effective as possible. So our tank guys don't waste their tanks. So they will never have a problem. We'll never have a problem with the new resources costs. I mean, it's just. I mean, it's a bit hard for the Zergs that they can't spam those thousands of macros, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's making them more valuable resources on the battlefield as they should be. There shouldn't be something like, yeah, pull it, and if I lose it, I don't mind.
I agree with that. I do agree with that sentiment that, you know, it is a bit too easy to pull vehicles, but I do think it's going to punish the non-subscriber.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah, but
I do have to say
punished.
tomorrow's headline is going to be FFS changes from Lightnings into Mac Riders, from Lightnings into Mac Riders.
What about you guys? We're not spamming vehicles. We're using them properly and not spamming our thousands of Mac Riders and then
Here comes
surrounding
the
everybody.
burns. Anyway, Cutter, do you think that seeing how they have in the past, they've increased the experience for taking out a vehicle quite immensely, and now they're upping the resource costs, where you could say that, you know, like taking out a costly vehicle gives you a lot of experience, that is good. But they have also massively buffed the anti-vehicle capabilities of infantry. We all know that no matter what faction, if you can get a proper squad that's properly equipped up somewhere in a good position, they can pop tanks in seconds without the tanks often. I mean, especially the VS with their Lancers is pretty good at that, without the tanks even knowing where they're being shot from. Now, with those resource costs attached to how huge of a target's tanks or vehicles in general are anyway, do you see that vehicles are basically going to be abandoned from the battlefield because they're just going to die super quickly anyway?
Well, no, I don't think they're going to be abandoned from the battlefield. Neither do I think they're going to die quicker than they're dying now. Because Dextro said a very right thing. If you use them right, they're quite survivable. They've survived for quite a long time. So, no, I don't think there will be a problem like that. Actually, I'm holding my 2 fingers for a stealth nerf to infantry anti-vehicle weapons. It's quite possible. I wouldn't be surprised by it because it kind of fits in with the strategy that Sony has been pursuing. Also, the the nerf to AA kind of mitigates many of the stuff you've been talking to, because when you have a Lancer squad on the mountain covered by several Bertimaxes, right now they're almost invincible. But if the Bertimaxes are nerfed, one airstrike and there is no Lancer squad up on that mountain. So it plays more to combined arms, and it's a good thing. I'm not entirely sure how it's gonna play out right away, but I think Sony is on the right track, upping the cost of vehicles, making them more valuable, probably nerfing infantry anti-vehicle capabilities at some point. They're kind of approaching it gradually, perhaps better than they did from the start, when vehicles were just cheap, very effective, and they farmed infantry, so that wasn't good. Now they're kind of approaching it gradually, and this is a good thing. I think they may make the combined arms game right, and that is extremely important for this game. So I'm with them. I support them.
Do you think that, seeing how, if you don't properly play, if you don't properly know how to use your vehicle, but also if you're not properly supported, I mean, obviously in outfits like the ones represented here, vehicles are getting properly supported. If I'm just a player who's running around or driving around in his 1 out of 2 Prowler, I don't have a repair Sundra or a dedicated engineer or what have you. Do you believe that because of this kind of thing, that we are going to see a lot less, well, let's say, pubby vehicles, because they're going to pull one, die quickly, and then don't have resources for ages. So most of the vehicle engagements we're going to see are actually going to be the proper outfits doing it, who can actually keep their vehicles alive.
Possibly.
That goes to Cutter, by the way, sorry.
I don't think we shouldn't really... These changes are not that drastic to make pubby vehicles disappear entirely. Maybe there will be a little bit less of them, but honestly, there's enough of them right now. If there's a little less of them, I don't think anyone would even notice that. And they don't really live long anyway. They are the ones that die first anyway in any serious fight. So I don't think it's such a massive change. Maybe except certain situations when the faction gets warp-gated, maybe then it's going to be a bigger problem. We'll have to see how it plays out. But for just general combat that we're all used to, I don't think it's going to really change much because of that.
I'll tell you what it will affect, and what it will affect majorly, is people that have unreliable computers or the game that crashes for them constantly. Because you pull a vehicle and you crash and you've lost hundreds and hundreds of resources.
Yeah, but again, you would lose the current resources too, and you would have the timer now too. So if your connection is unstable and you bug out all the time from the game, it's bad for you anyway. It's not gonna make you much worse off. You're already worse off just by the fact that you're crashing constantly.
Sometimes it's Planetside that's unstable, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm on about. That's what I'm on about. Planetside will crash, and you'll be in your gal, and you crash out, and you've lost your gal, or you're in your Prowler, and there's massive amount of resources that's just been ditched, and it'll be significantly amplified with the new resources.
If I may, I think we have forgotten actually the most important resource buff, which is the max, because that is very significant.
Yeah.
That is 3.5 times. That is a huge increase. That is very significant, and that is a game changer. Because
there's gonna be a lot of people crying when I drop C4 on them.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing, because I think the game was just overflowing with maxes right now, especially after those Zoe and other abilities got introduced. And I personally would be happy to see half of them gone from the game. It's a good change, and it's actually a major component of the Burst-Max nerf, because not only the weapon nerf, but the cost. So it's definitely a good thing.
Is this going to change? Is this resource change? Like Stacy just said, a lot of people are going to be mad when they get C4 dropped on their head and exploded, and then obviously don't get revived by a medic.
So I've got no medics,
usually, which usually happens in an outfit, that you get revived by a medic, of course. But is this going to change maxes from a frontline unit to more of a back-of-the-line support platform?
I think from an outfit point of view, I've got some really good max players. They've got some really nice sorted out maxes, and I think with the right support, if they've each got dedicated engineer and a medic, I don't think there's going to be an issue with them. Because pretty much of them, they're high level players. They've got good timers, and a lot of them are premier members. They're not going to suffer. But I think it's more the people that are trying on a max suit for the first few times are going to go out there. They're not really going to get to have much of a go in it before they're annihilated. Because a max suit without an engineer is it's not really worth its weight. I don't find from my perspective. It's not high against 3 of my outfit, 2 out of my outfit players. And max isn't going to last a long time without any engineering support. And he's got light assaults buzzing around his head.
Yeah, I think all those changes are benefiting outfits, the resource changes, because maybe some casual players will suffer from it, but this game is about outfits, so who cares? It's agree. Just you have to work with it, and since they're then more cost intensive, they're a more high value resource, and you have to use them as effective as you can. And in an outfit, it shouldn't be a matter. There should be always guys supporting you, covering your back, covering the skies from light assaults above you. This is no big deal. It doesn't change anything.
What do you think about what do you think about the certificate timer? The timer. When you set into the timer cooldown period. What do you think about that with the new resources?
It's going to be less useful, and that's it.
It's pretty much.
No, I totally disagree, because you're getting so freaking many resources if you're fighting in areas which giving you resources and getting points there. For example, biolabs. You're getting so many infantry resources that the cooldown timer is still really important. You shouldn't be forced to use it because you never die, unless the whole platoon is getting wiped. But besides that, you're never gonna die anyway. But you're getting so many points in a biolab fight, especially as a max suit, shooting down everything which moves, that it doesn't affect the game in the end.
Well, we need to see what that is like when the changes are actually live. Right now, that is obviously just something which we're hoping for ourselves. Talking about maxes, obviously the resources are going to go into that. I'm going to go more into this topic when they're actually live, maybe in the next show or so. Let's go into something specific. Topic that's been very heavily discussed last week too. Also regarding maxes, also regarding something else. Zoe Max and the Saron. 2 of the most whined about weapons currently in the game. Now, there are changes. We know that the Zoe is definitely getting another 10% extra damage, which brings it up to 30% while Zoe is active. Apart from that, nothing else has been said yet. And the Saron, as well as the NC Enforcer, do not one-shot infantry anymore. They now need 2 direct hits to kill infantry. How is that going to change? Is the TR going to notice those nerfs for a better gameplay, 2CA?
To be honest with you, I don't think, I've got full, if you're somewhere in my full flak armour, I don't think that I should get one-shotted by something that's shooting me from a million mile at close range. Yeah, someone pops around the corner and one shots me with a decimator. Fair enough. Okay, you got me. But an enforcer, it's this is because you haven't really got a counter for that. There's no TR weapon that counters that. The Sauron's quite pinpoint accurate. It's I don't know. I think it's all relative from your own standpoint. Like, to be honest with you, like the Zoe Maxes, I tested them on the test server, and and when they first come into the game, I think they were a bit too fast, because it wasn't the fact that the speed up of their movement with the way that a good player will play. It was virtually impossible with the cone of fires involved. It was really hard to actually land shots, and you was just in trouble from the start. I think a 30% damage increase for the extra ability, I think, is, considering that you can run it non-stop without no cooldown or no timer involved, like the Aegis Shield or anything like that. You can just run it endlessly. I think that's more than a fair buy-off for the increase you're getting in kills per minute, which is quite high.
Dextro, how are the Theron and Zoe changes going to play towards the NC's favor, and do you have anything to add about the Enforcer?
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of Zoe maxes lately, which kind of, I think that's why they're doing the resources changes as well, because now there's a massive amounts of VS max suits running in from base to base into every battle. I think the problem with the max suits in general is that we are really, really good up close, but everything which is kind of more medium range, we're getting outshot by the other faction max suits. I think we suffer a bit from that. The Siren, I actually tested it, and I didn't really thought it was... I mean, it's like the Enforcer with good guns. If they want to nerf them, fine. I mean, it's their decision. I would like to see that weapons, especially weapons like those, stay that deadly like they are now. I think weapons should do damage, and when you've been hit by a rocket, you should be dead. And if there's a good gunner sniping you from 600 meters away with his Enforcer, and you stand still and he hits you, I think he deserves the kill. So I don't like those changes when they nerf them and make the things less deadly. Because if you're organized, there's always a medic who can pick you up, and you can continue fighting. So in the end, yeah.
Cutter, how are this changes going to play into VVG's playstyle, if at all? Are you guys going to notice that there has been a nerf? Are you guys going to maybe use the Zoe Max and the Saron differently?
Well, I'd say the resource change is going to be a much more major thing. I don't think the Zoe changes are really that significant from what I've seen on the being announced. Saren is obviously cheesy right now. One shot an infantry with it is just, it's a bit stupid. It's fast, it's deadly. Yeah, I understand why they're nerfing it. Not a problem. But what it seems to be important to me is that maybe this will help correct Woodman metagame, because right now the VS overpop seems to be significantly driven by what we call the force faction, people who jump after favored weapons of the months and stuff like that. So hopefully nerfs to these and buffs to Vulcan that are coming maybe will drive those people to TR, and this way maybe the overpop will correct itself. So I'm kind of hoping for that. Otherwise, I don't think that's that a big deal. Okay, we won't have a cheesy weapon, no problem. We can live with that.
Well, that sounds pretty good. We're actually going to... Oh, sorry, Sysagent, please.
The thing is, you can counter a Zoe Max, and I'm going to let the secret out of the bag, with an anti-vehicle grenade. Nobody ever uses it.
Well, you can counter every Max with
yeah,
that.
well, if you've got a load of Zoe Maxes or Scatter Maxes sat in a room, TR, just throw a load of anti-vehicle grenades in there, and they're yours.
Nice little secret, you can encounter everything in this game when you play smart.
Nobody does it, though.
Obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, that is the fault of the people not using their brains. I mean, you can encounter just everything.
If I shoot something and it doesn't die, it is obviously overpowered.
I mean, the only thing which really bothers me about the max suit is that on range, I can hardly make a difference between a heavy assault and a max suit. And I shoot a max suit giving away my position, but assuming it's a heavy assault. That's kind of annoying, but with everything else, I can deal.
Well, that sounds pretty good. So as we heard, the TR things are going to change a little bit more because of the resources. Actually, all representatives of the factions think the resource change is going to be a much bigger change when it comes to maxes in general, or everything in general, and of course the Zoe Max. Now, we're actually going to close this topic and the general topics, and we're going to go into questions from listeners. I don't know if we're going to get any more. We currently have one, but if you want to have your question answered by one of the representatives, please use the Iron Pulse radio chat. There's a little chat bubble on the right which you can click, and then you send a message. I'm reading those. Now, The first question, and I hope not the last, but it's currently the only one we have, is actually for our TR representatives. It's from a person called Mockcog, and he says the following. He says, the position of the guns on the Prowler makes it look like it would send the turret spinning upon firing, seeing how the turret itself is just a small circular dome that looks like it could barely support the gun. What does 2CA think about that?
Well, it's the future, and they've invented something called a dampening field, and they're on all the tanks, so they can make them any shape they like, and it still work. It's TR.
It's the most off-putting thing in the world, is that?
Yeah.
But no gun stabilizers.
Yeah,
It could. Go on, Ross.
It's off-center.
I can only say greetings to Moko. Good question.
Yeah, but
Now
the model could do with an update on the turret. Yeah. SOE, if you're listening, get your devs on it.
Center that gun. Don't make the Prowler spin out of control.
It could do with a third. It could actually, talking, roughly around the Prowler, it could go back, really, for me, back to the Planetside one tank, with the 3 people in it. That's what it were about.
So David Dickinson wants to know, I guess this is going to be a question to all of our representatives. Let's keep the answers short. He asks, what's the best thing for my suit slot? Let's go with 2C. Let's go like DJStacy, Sysagent, Dextro, RCutter.
I would go class-wise, but if you play medic or engineer, you spend most of your time out in the open, repairing or healing people, or, generally scraping people up. So I would go flak armour if I was for my chosen profession.
Sysagent.
Light assault, mainly. Multiple C4s.
And Dextro, what do you prefer?
I mean, it's highly situational, but the best thing is if your suit is not out of spandex.
And Cutter, what do you say to that? Full-on spandex, or do you use any other things?
Spandex, of course. I'm a loyal Wano.
Ah, okay.
Does it chaff?
So there you have it. Okay, let's see. Oh, we're actually getting some questions here. That's pretty good. So we got a question. This is actually from one of our own guys. I'm not going to ask his first question because that's kind of like not doing that. But he actually asks, what are people's take on the whole thing where players from Miller always say that they're the elite while Woodman is some kind of backwater country server?
I think, to be honest with you, people need to remember that Woodman is one of the very two original alpha and beta servers, which I was happily to be on, Euro 2, at the time it was called. And that's why we have such great outfits, such as yourself, IP, and the other NC outfits, because we've had the longest to grow and the longest play time for the good players of each faction to merge and to find each other. And that's why, you've got an IP radio show such as this, because the heritage of the Woodman server is, if I've checked other servers out, and Ceres and stuff, and the command checked out, it's absolutely awful compared to Woodman. So there's your answer in a nutshell.
I think the snobbery comes from all the original Planetside 1 players nominated Miller as their designated. I can't remember the Planetside 1, so one of you guys will probably remember it. I were on it. But they nominated Miller as their designated server to all go on, so they probably think they're high above everybody else. But there's a lot of old Planetside 1 players on here, on Woodman, and it's a good old server. And it makes me pain to say, but, there are some good other faction groups out there, as Stacey said, IP, KOTV, FFS, gods, we have a bit of cracking chat, and it's all good, well-spirited, and it's a good bunch of people. I wouldn't swap it now.
No, I wouldn't change server. No, not there.
Here's actually a question for, where is it? Give me a sec. To the VS and the TR. So let's do Stacy and Cutter. This is a question from Gaviel Dawn. Do you notice names from the FFS at all? Or are we just other players in your opinion?
No, I do notice Dextro. I mean, he shot me a few times. I've shot him, and there are players that I do bump into that I recognise their names. This is,
Cutter.
which is good.
Yeah, well, I mostly noticed the tag when right when we start fighting FFS. I noticed that we're fighting them, and I know that's gonna be hard. Otherwise, I think the only person I know is DJ. Sorry if I mispronounced the nickname. I think it's the leader of FFS, but I might be wrong. Otherwise, I don't really know anybody.
Here's a question from Okio from VVG. He says that he's noticed that in the last few days, the NC and the TR have been participating a lot more in alerts. He would like to know if the NC and the TR have been working towards better alert participation since the last week, like Dextro. Let's start with Dextro. He hasn't said anything for a while.
Yeah, I mean, alerts. I mean, if they fit into the plan, right. If not, then not. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, of course, we want to take part in a couple of alerts, and we try it. But I mean, it's mainly then the TRs attacking us, the VS is attacking us, and then we rather pick a good fight and stay in, and not working on the overall alert goal and catching some bonus XP. I mean, it's highly situational.
The TR are now coming to the conclusion, for a combination of things, Max's population, we're kind of sidelining the station alerts like biolab alerts, a non-starter. We haven't got the Maxes to deal with them. You guys have. You've got your Zoes, your scatter Maxes. We can't take that on at such a close proximity. The continent alerts we still go for.
Okay. We're going to close out the listener's question with a question for each one of you. We're going to go by order again. Rate your factions' cooperation between outfits on the scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being you basically never talk to each other, and 10 being you are constantly voice chatting and forming strategies together. Stacy.
I would say it varies depending on a weekday, but when all the major TR outfits are like EDT, 208, the 501st, the Black Sun gaming, when all the outfits are on and everybody's in a talkative mood and everyone gets fired up on a Friday night, then I'd give us a solid 7. But on a weekday, there's only a few outfits on, and I think what it is that people feel that if they've only got a squad, then it's not really their place to be in the command chat. Well, I think that's wrong. I think, if you've got a squad and you let people know where you are, even if you're just a squad, you can still make a difference. You get 4 people the same, that's a platoon. You can make a difference. You should always never be afraid to jump in the command chat if you've got something to say. But yeah, I think on an average day, I'd only give TR a 6, I'm afraid, on Woodman at the moment.
Dextro, how would you rate the NC and inter-outfit cooperation?
Yeah, I mean, depends on the day. I mean, if we run joint ops with the others, then it's usually 10, or there's something between 8 and 10.
No room for improvement, Dextro.
And if Cameron is online, who asked the question, by the way, anyway, and coordinating a bit through the leaders channel and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it's good. There's always room to improve, but I think outfit coordination is kind of a difficult thing because every outfit has kind of its strengths, and it's sometimes hard to get them all together because they're so different.
So, what would you give it between a 1 and a 10?
I mean, the whole day through without peak time. In peak times, I would give it an 8, and throughout the day, I would give it a 3.
Okay. And Cutter, the VS, often heralded for their great organization. Let's hear it.
Well, whenever the faction is playing to the objective, which is, I think, almost every alert, and whenever we're going to content cap, it's definitely 10. Otherwise, it fluctuates. I think sometimes everyone's just playing casual, but I don't think you need to rate that moment. We can coordinate too. We just choose not to because we're playing casual.
He's saying he's giving it a 2.
a zero whenever we don't want to, but when
And
we
with
do
that,
want to
we're going
extend.
to we're going to stop the question from the listeners. Thank you very much. If your question didn't go in, maybe we can get it in the next episode. And we're actually going to come to the end of this episode of Woodman Live. And what do we do at the end? Well, some people might know, but this is only the second episode, so I'll say it again. In the end, all of my guests are going to get 10 seconds each again, where they can say whatever they want with impunity. They can do whatever they want, say whatever they want. They can give shout outs. They can go on a rant. They have 10 seconds to say whatever. I'm actually going to be so nice and to give, for the great work they did, give 2CA 10 seconds each instead of 10 seconds together, because I'm kind of a bit favoring TR right now. I don't know why. What's happening to me? I feel so... Oh! Anyway, so 2CA, DJStacy, your 10 seconds to say whatever you want now.
I'm going to use my own 10 seconds to say I've enjoyed being on your show. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you on the field and having some good matchups and making you rage quit as often as possible.
Thank you. Sysagent, your 10 seconds to say whatever you want now.
Thanks again for inviting me to the show. It's been a privilege. Please, Sony, do not nerf the night vision scope. Please, please don't.
You can say get a few more pleases and you still have like
Please.
Okay, FFS Dextro, the man from the NC who is so organized he can fit an entire book into 10 seconds. Now.
I can't, and I demand 20 seconds, but yeah, fun for the freedom fighters to take part in the show. Greetings to all the people who are listening from every outfit, every on the server. Greetings to the FFS guys asking a shitload of questions in the channel. And it was fun. See you next time.
Okay, thank you very much. And of course, from the home front, VVG, RCutter, bring it home for the Vanu, your 10 seconds now.
Okay, well, thank you, Clark, and thank you, IP, for having me and having all of us here, for organizing this awesome radio. And a shout out to our guys at VVG. You're great, guys. Thank you for listening. I think Koki has been listening to us.
And there we go. There you have it. This was episode 2 of Woodman Live, the talk for and about Woodman and Planetside 2. I am IP Kleika. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you tune in next time when it's time again for Woodman Live. Bye-bye.